It's Friday night. You and your friend Jason are on your way to the Fazbear horror attraction at the local amusement park. Apparently they're getting it all set up for the Halloween season, so it's in kind of a demo stage right now. Your friend Jason tells you that it's supposed to be a standard haunted house type attraction, only themed to the Freddy Fazbear pizzeria and the horrific events that occurred inside of that place. It's decorated with actual props from the place, which should be pretty cool. It's been 30 years since the place shut down, and yet rumors and theories about what happened there are still lurking the internet. You and Jason have been obsessed with the Freddy Fazbear mysteries your whole lives, and this seems like the closest the two of you will ever get to experiencing the supposed horrors that went on behind the closed doors of the restaurant. They even claim to have found an actual animatronic from the place in working condition, one that was more of an unused Scrappy. The two of you did a little research and found out that the animatronic was actually nicknamed Springtrap. There wasn't much else info on it though. It seemed to be relatively unknown. You arrive at the park at around 11:30. You didn't want to come this late, but this is the only night that Jason would be available to go. The park closes at midnight, so you should have plenty of time to get through the attraction and leave. The two of you make your way over to the ticket stands and buy 2 tickets for the Fazbear horror attraction. Walking into the park, you can tell that the place is pretty dead, especially for a Friday night. Everybody must have left already. One of the few people walking by happens to be an employee, so you ask him where the attraction is, and he points you in the right direction. Moving in that direction, it doesn't take long until you see the big glowing sign reading Fazbear, the horror attraction, with a big illuminated Freddy Fazbear head moving its mouth up and down above the door. The kid manning the entrance is so absorbed in his cell phone that when you hand him your tickets, all that comes out of his mouth is a barely audible grunting noise. Just a typical teenager who's clearly unhappy to have the Friday night shift. You assume the right to push open the door and step into the building. The door slowly closes behind you, and that's when you notice a big warning sign stating that if anybody is to steal or move any of the props, they will be heavily fined. The floors are filled with fog, to the point where you can't even see your feet, and the walls are decorated with old posters and torn pictures, mostly just the restaurant's characters, poorly drawn by kids. It's creepy, but it's not scary, says Jason. You reassure him that it will get scarier. You just walk through the doors anyway. Jason puts his hand on your back and nudges you forward to move down the hall. Moving forward reveals more props. Walls still covered with crumpled papers with poorly drawn pictures of the characters on them. Up ahead there's what appears to be a glowing jack-o'-lantern on the floor, but upon getting closer, you realize it's the head of Chica, one of the animatronic characters. Do you think that's the actual head? You ask. Yeah, it better be, he says. Is this really supposed to be scary? You admit the atmosphere does have a creepy feel to it, but so far, it's not scary. Hopefully it's building up to something good. Walking down a little more, the two of you come up to an intersecting hallway. You freeze in your tracks when you think you could hear something moving around the corner. It's probably just other people going through the attraction, says Jason. Do you really think we're the only people in here? Yes, I do actually, you tell him. Jason jokingly pushes you forward towards the corner, but as you turn your head, something screams and lunges towards you. You let out a shriek of terror and fall to your knees, only to realize it's just an old Freddy Fazbear costume. It's attached to some kind of remote handle in the wall. It's designed to scare people. You get back up on your feet to have Jason laughing in your face. Alright, you douche, it would have scared you too, you tell him. The remote rod holding the Freddy suit rolls back to hide the suit behind the corner. You walk up to it to get a closer look at it. It seems pretty genuine. You call Jason over to come feel it, but he doesn't respond. Jason? Jason, where are you? Hey, check this out. You turn around to see Jason in a room across the hall by some kind of arcade machine. You think it still works? He asks. No, of course not, you respond while approaching the room. Jason continues to fiddle with all of the buttons, hoping something will happen. Alright, let's keep going. Your heart skips a beat at the sight of a demonic face popping up on the screen of the game. You turn to see Jason's face, noticeably full of fear. Wow, that got me, he says. Let's keep going, it seems to be getting better. You keep walking down the halls and suddenly you notice there's no more fog on the ground. They must have turned off the fog machines for whatever reason. They definitely paid attention to detail with the place. There are papers all over the walls, scattered across the floor, fake bloodstains on the tiled floor, even pipes and wires dangling from the ceiling to give it a broken down look. It almost feels as though it's the real restaurant. Of course, you wouldn't really know. As you keep moving down the dark hallway, preparing yourself for any more jump scares, you notice you can't hear another pair of footsteps behind you. You turn around. Jason's missing again. You call his name, but there's no response. You call louder, still no response. Where the hell did he go? A sound comes from behind you, in the direction you are walking in. You turn back around to see the figure of a man down the hall. It's too dark to make out any features, but you know he's staring at you. The motionless figure of the man down the hall sends a chill down your spine, and you're too disturbed to try and rationalize the situation to think that maybe it could just be another park visitor. You move your leg back, about to begin walking backwards, but at that instant, the figure down the hall turns around and walks away into the darkness ahead. You're left standing there, not knowing what to think or do. You don't know who the hell that guy was, so maybe you shouldn't proceed alone. You turn around to go find Jason. You pass by the Freddy Fazbear costume again, and go back into the room with the arcade game. He's not in here. You call Jason's name again, this time so loud that there's a bit of an echo. That sound, it came from down the hall that you originally entered from. You leave the room and turn to walk back to the entrance where the sound came from. The red glow of the exit sign stands out in the dark. It seems as though it's providing more light than the main lighting. It must have gotten darker in here since you entered. The darkness only makes it that much harder to find the source of the sound. Forget it. You figure you should just go back outside and ask that kid if he saw Jason walk out. There's no other place he could be. It's literally a dead end from where you were when he disappeared. You grab the metal door handle and try to push it down, but it won't budge. It's been locked. You pound on the door and scream for the kid on the other side to open up. You do this for around a minute, but it proves pointless. The kid obviously left, and it seems there's no one else around to hear. You check your watch for the time, and just barely in the dim light, you can see that it's already 10 to midnight. They must be shutting everything down now. Damn it. The kid wasn't even paying attention. He probably doesn't even know that we came in here, you think to yourself. You try to rationalize. Okay, maybe the exit door is still unlocked, and the entrance door is only locked since they're not letting any more people in now. It's so obvious, the kid is waiting for us at the exit. All we have to do is make it through the attraction. But where the hell is Jason? Okay, so he most likely didn't leave the building. That just wouldn't make sense, because if he did leave, somebody would have been bound to have still been around by the time you started pounding on the door. You walk back down the first hall and to the corner, expecting the Freddy suit to pop out at you again. But it doesn't. Damn, they must have shut down most of the power already. That's why the fog stopped and the lights are getting dimmer. The remaining lights must be some kind of backup nightlight system. So he's not in the first hall. He has to be in that small room with the arcade somewhere. You walk back into that room, which is now completely pitch black. You take out your phone and turn on the flashlight, scanning the room. You continue to call Jason's name repeatedly with zero luck. You scanned the whole room. He's not in here. Only a bunch of props. Then while looking at your phone, it hits you. All you have to do is call Jason and ask him where he is. You quickly dial his number and put the phone up to your ear. It takes a few seconds for you to register what you're hearing. It's Jason's ringtone. It sounds like it's coming from above you. Flashlight's still on, you look up to see an air vent hanging open. The cell phone ringing is coming from up there. Maybe you could find something in here to climb on to reach the vent. The arcade game jumps to life, flashing the same disturbing face from before. But how? Isn't the power cut now? The idea of calling the police suddenly doesn't seem so bad. So you go back into the phone app, but you're not getting any more service. That makes no sense. The screen on the arcade machine switches from the face to a barely readable message. It says, "Leave him if you want to live." What the hell is going on? There's a couple of crates in the corner of the room, most likely props. They would be perfect for helping you reach the vent. You position yourself behind one of the crates and begin to push. It's heavier than it looks. It must be filled with something. Once the crate is directly underneath the open air vent, you climb onto the crate and try to reach the vent. It's too high. You jump up and try to catch a grip, but you just barely miss it. You need just a little more. Something small. The screen on the arcade machine switches again, this time to an original Freddy Fazbear face. You can see that it's staring right at you. A laughing sound can be heard from out in the hall. It's getting closer. You have to hurry. You scan the room for anything to climb on. There's an old rusty toolbox and a pile of papers in the corner of the room. You have to decide quickly what to climb on. You hop off the crate and pick up the pile of papers. You desperately hop back onto the crate and place the pile of papers on the crate. You step onto it and get ready to jump. If you can't reach it, the pile will surely collapse from your landing, so you only have one chance.
Hello?
In your peripheral vision, you could see something by the door, only it isn't a body. You don't dare to look. You jump up and manage to grab a hold of the edge of the air vent. Suddenly, something brushes up against your leg. That's all the motivation you need to pull yourself up into the air vent. You crawl away from the room as fast as you can, into the dark air ducts. You're too afraid to look behind you and fear that something will be following you, whatever that thing was. You need to find Jason and get the hell out of here now. This place isn't just an attraction. Up ahead, you see something laying on the floor of the ducts. Upon getting closer, you realize it's one of Jason's cigarettes. Now you know he was in here. As you continue to crawl on, you come across an air vent that leads into a little storage-type room. There's a few boxes, animatronic parts, even a life-size statue of an animatronic in the corner. Then you notice somebody in the other corner of the room, sitting in an office chair. You call to them for help and rattle the air vent to make noise, but the person doesn't even acknowledge it. You could break open this air vent and hop down in there if you want. Or maybe you should just keep moving down the vents. Something's not right about this. It's giving you a bad feeling. Maybe it's best to just keep moving down the air duct. Suddenly, before you could even get 2 steps past the vent, the office chair spins around, revealing a man in a purple suit and hat, and he's also wearing a yellow badge. His face, though, it's something that could have only been imagined in a nightmare. His facial features and limbs appear deformed, covered in blood. Various bloody wounds suggest the man had been impaled by something. The man, or thing, suddenly turns its head up to you, through the air vents. You hightail out of there and down the ducts. You pass various overhead vents that are inaccessible, and eventually come up to the only other available exit, a vent that leads into an office-type room. You scan the room as much as you can. Nothing in there except for a big office desk, a fan, and another office chair. You bust open the air vent relatively easily and hop down onto the floor. The landing hurts your ankle a bit, but you can still manage to move. The room you're in, it's a security room. It seems as though it's equipped with some controls to the building. There's even monitors to the security cameras. You need to get the lights back up higher in this building, so you examine the power switches, fiddling with a couple. One turns off the lights in the room, the other turns on some kind of alarm. It takes a few flicks and switches before you see through the glass in the office looking out to the hallway that the primary lighting is turned back on. It's still not super bright, but it's better than before. You figure now you can look through the security cameras to try and find a way out of the building. The monitor is already on, so you click through the different camera screens to try and find an escape route. The reassuring sight of an exit sign appears on one of the camera screens, and according to the little map on the screen, it's very close to this office. Just for good measure, you check a few more cameras to make sure the coast is clear. You switch to the next camera over to see a creature staring at the camera. It's an animatronic. It looks like some kind of rabbit. And then you realize it's the animatronic you read about, Springtrap. It stands there motionless like a statue. Considering everything that has happened in this building and the history of the animatronics of this place, you don't want to get close to that thing. Though it isn't blocking your path to the exit, so long as the exit door is locked, you should be fine. One more camera you haven't checked. It's on the opposite side of the building, but you click the button out of curiosity, and then the screen brings up a darker room. It seems like a closet, but there's something on the floor in this room. It's a person. You roll the scroll wheel on the mouse up, and the camera zooms in. It's Jason. He's laying on the floor, not moving at all. Could you make it to him? You switch back to the other camera where Springtrap was standing. He's not there anymore. Should you run for the exit and save yourself? Or should you try to save Jason? Like hell are you gonna leave this place without Jason? What kind of friend would you be? You poke your head out the doorway of the office into the hall. The coast is clear of anything paranormal. The closet was on the opposite side of the building. The first turn you have to make is a right down this hallway. You tiptoe the best you can down the halls with your ankles still hurting. You turn the next corner. Everything is still quiet. Then you notice the posters and the pictures on the walls. There's no more drawings of Bonnie, Chica, Freddy, Foxy, and the other characters. They're all pictures of Springtrap. And their eyes, they all seem to be focused on you. You must be losing it. It's all in your head. Just get to Jason and get out of here. You pick up your pace a little, no longer tiptoeing. That sound, it's coming from behind you, but you don't turn around. You don't want to know what's behind you. You find yourself back in the room with the Foxy head mounted on the wall. You're almost there. You walk back down the hall across from the room with the arcade machine when a door appears on the right. You hadn't noticed it before. It has a do not enter sign on it, as well as a supply closet sign. This has to be it. You open up the door. It's almost pitch black inside the closet, except for a tiny nightlight in the bottom corner. You scream and spin around as the humming sound is now right over your shoulder. It's a withered, disturbing version of what was once Foxy. You jump into the room and slam the door shut before the thing could grab you. Thankfully, there's a lock on the door, so you lock it and feel it's safe to step away from the door. Taking your first big breath in the room, you inhale a foul, putrid odor, causing you to cough and gag. It smells like something is rotting in here. But more importantly, the cheap nightlight in the corner is enough to reveal Jason lying on the floor. You immediately check for a pulse and are reassured to the slight bumping in his wrist. You shake him around a bit, trying to wake him up, but he's out cold. You check your phone for service again, still no luck. You scan the room with your cell phone's flashlight for anything you could use, anything that could assist you in getting out of here. All that's in here are janitorial supplies, some more crates and boxes, and a couple of jerry cans. You shake one of the jerry cans to see if anything's inside. It's full of a liquid, of which you assume to be gasoline. That's normally what these things are used for. You take off the cap and take a whiff. The strong, familiar aroma fills your senses. It is in fact gasoline. Why does this place have all this gasoline in here? But a more important question, how are you going to get Jason out of here? Becoming desperate, you decide to check the crates and boxes for anything that could assist you in escaping safely. You grab the handle on one of the crates and lift it open, and a blast of rancid, foul air hits you in the face before you could even see what's inside. You start gagging again from the unbearable stench, but manage to take a look at what's inside of the crate while holding your nose. You put both your hands to your mouth as you stare in shock at the crate full of rotting human body parts. You try not to throw up as you shut the crate as quickly as possible. You have to get out of this place right now. Your only option is to drag Jason out of here, but it's not going to be easy. You have to check the hall to make sure that the coast is clear now. You unlock the door and quietly turn the doorknob, pushing the door open slowly. The right side is clear. You open the door a little more to get a view of the left side. It's clear as well. Alright, it's time to go. You wrap your arms under Jason's and begin to drag him, but you stop. This place is evil. You can't leave it standing, claiming more victims. The gasoline, you can use it to... Of course. You check Jason's pocket and instantly find a lighter. For once, you're happy that Jason smokes. You grab the open jerry can and begin dumping gasoline all over the floor and the crates. You grab another jerry can, pop it open, and fill the hallway with gasoline. Now you just have to drag Jason to safety and burn this goddamn place to the ground. You run back over to Jason and prepare to drag him down until you look up. That's when you see him. The rabbit, Springtrap, standing a few meters away from you. It's him. He's the one doing all of this. All those stories of evil animatronics at the restaurants, they're all true. What do you want? You call out. The rabbit just tilts his head as a confused dog would. Can you understand me? Are you doing all of this? It doesn't make a sound. You slowly lower Jason and reach for the lighter in your pocket.
I wouldn't do that if I were you.
It spoke. So you're no different than those damn robots from 30 years ago? The rabbit lets out a terrifying sound, one that you can only perceive as an evil laughter.
You fool. I am the reason for their existence. More than 30 years ago, the animatronics at Freddy Fazbear's pizzeria were no more than expensive machines covered by plastic costumes. I had a love for harvesting and experimenting with human flesh, but it was so damn difficult to acquire, so I would go for the easier targets, children. So I got a job as a security guard at the restaurant, and one night, I tore all of the wiring and machines out of a Golden Freddy suit and lured a group of children into the back room with it. I killed them all and stuffed their bodies into the suits to create the first ever human animatronics.
My God, but how did that bring them to life?
There was a paranormal being in the restaurant. It was called the Marionette. It gave life to the 5 children I had murdered in some kind of act of retribution. Since then, the spirits of the children haunted the restaurants with their new bodies. The restaurant closed down after one of the spirits attacked a customer, and the restaurant reopened with a smaller budget years later. Of course, that restaurant closed down as well after the lost spirits killed an employee.
But how did you end up like this?
I returned to the defunct restaurant in order to create a new suit to continue my experiments. I destroyed the animatronic suits, turning them into worthless, disembodied souls, unable to harm anybody. But the bodiless spirits were angry and forced me to flee to a room with this suit. I had no choice but to climb into this spring motor wearable suit to escape. The motion of my laughter at the pathetic souls caused the springs to activate, impaling me. The lost spirits bound my soul to the suit as some form of revenge, but the spirits of the children will continue to haunt the place, and I will have my revenge.
You're sick. You caused them to be this way. And if you're the only animatronic this place found, how come I heard and saw others?
The lost, bodiless spirits of the children will continue to haunt this building. They cannot do anything to me, and their souls will be trapped here as long as this building stands. They will never be freed, not while I'm around. Anyway, I believe I've told enough of my story to my next victim. Don't worry, when I slaughter you, I will make your death extra slow.
The rabbit begins to move towards you. You have to think fast. So you were the man in the purple suit that I saw?
That's right.
I don't believe you. Show me. The rabbit freezes and lets out what must be a chuckle.
You don't believe me. I will humor you one more time before your worthless life comes to an end.
He does something disturbing and unexpected. He grabs the top part of his mask and begins to lift up, exposing something even more disturbing underneath. You could see the rotting remains of a human head underneath the mask. You inch your way closer while the thing is distracted. And then, the most unsettling thing you've ever witnessed in your life. You see the mouth of the rotting human head move and asks,
Are you satisfied?
Yes. Go to hell, you sick fuck. You flick the lighter on and press it to the gasoline on the floor and pull away immediately as a wave of fire erupts across the floor. The thing screams in agony as it catches on fire. The loud sound of the fire alarm sounding startles you as you walk backwards, watching the hallway light up in flames. Then, two arms appear out of the growing fire as Springtrap begins running towards you. You back up in fear and shock, half paralyzed, finding yourself unable to run. But the rabbit only makes it a few feet out of the fire, before something else emerges from the flames. Two long black arms wrap around Springtrap and pull him back into the fire, before disappearing into the engulfing flames. You squint your eyes, trying to see what it was, but it's hopeless. You wrap your arms around Jason's and begin tugging him away. Just before turning the corner, you look up and see something in the flames. A smiling, puppet-like face stares at you from the flames as it slowly melts down, until finally disappearing. The fire is spreading fast, you have to get out now. You pick up the pace as much as you can with your bad ankle, dragging Jason down the familiar hallways. You turn one more corner and see the red glowing exit sign once again. The real exit. You pray to yourself that the door is unlocked. You continue to drag Jason, but upon looking over your shoulder again to the exit door, you see something standing by the door. Something with two glowing eyes. It's Freddy Fazbear, but it doesn't make any sense. Everything the thing said about the spirits, how could it still be here? You're trapped. This is the only exit left. Everything else is blocked by the fire. You lose all hope and lean against the wall, falling down into a sitting position. You've given up, when suddenly you hear a laughing sound from down the hallway by the exit. Followed by the sound of a door opening. You look down to see Freddy, holding open the exit door, staring at you. It's helping you escape. You jump back up, grab Jason again, and quickly drag him down towards the door. You make it to the door and stand face to face with the suit, which is still looking at you with his glowing eyes. You drag Jason out the door to safety and hear one more laugh coming from inside. But this time, it resembles a human laugh. It resembles a laugh, that of a little girl. You turn around in hopes to give the spirit some kind of thank you nod, but as the door begins to close, you get one last look into the building. It was gone. It was as if it was never even standing there. The sound of park alarms surrounds you, and yet you don't hear anybody. You go back to Jason and resume dragging him, until you bump into somebody behind you. You turn to see a man dressed in a security jacket and hat. You cry to him about all the horrors that just went on in there, and how the fire started. You assume that he thinks you're crazy, but he responds by saying, "Don't worry, I know." Turns out he was the night watchman, and he was just running late. He had experienced the same horrors that you had, right in that office that you were in. In the end, everything that would be expected happened. The building burned down, the fire and police department arrived to the scene, Jason was rushed to the hospital, and the question of how much you should sue for has been brought up, though they don't know the story, and you don't plan on telling it, as you don't want to seem like a nut. The security guard urged you to keep quiet about the fire. He made up a story about how it started, some kind of electrical failure with old machinery. He urged you to make up a story about Jason's injury, that one of the pop-up dolls hit him in the head, to make it seem like the park's fault. He knew you and him alike would look crazy to try and get the cops to believe that story, or anybody for that matter. As for suing, you have no idea what Jason is gonna do, but you have no reason to. The whole experience has actually brought you peace, knowing the spirits of the children are free, the decades-old curse is finally broken, and you've put a satisfying close to your lifetime obsession. Everything has worked out just fine.